Hi, my name is Eric, and I am the Wayward Nurse. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoy it. I want to talk a little bit about just like 40,000 feet perspective. What is the nurse's job? If you are a nurse, or if you are considering becoming a nurse, understand your job is to care. Your job is to care. One of the things that utterly breaks my heart is going into report first time I get a patient, and you hear two things. You hear they're always on their call light and they're manipulative. Those two often go hand in hand. Not always, but some people are just a tad needy, and that's okay. But that manipulative, that one always invariably bugs me. And similar comments, because here's why. Imagine you are going on a blind date. As horrible as that sounds. Imagine you're going on a blind date, and you don't know a whole lot about the person, but you know that they're liars and they manipulate and they are just looking for ways to take advantage of you. And oh yeah, by the way, this date is going to last for 12 hours. I've already established a negative rapport with someone that I haven't even met. If I take your word for the gospel, I already don't like this stranger, having never seen them before, having only discovered their name in report. That's unfair for a variety of reasons. But the number one reason why I think it's unfair is because maybe it's true. Maybe they are manipulative. Maybe they are lying. Maybe they have lived a life so far removed from care and consideration that they have spent every waking moment of their lives trying to figure out how they're going to survive, or how they're going to make the most of the terrible situation in which they find themselves. And you know, let's suppose my patient gets one over on me. So what? Why is it that I'm so special that I just demand to be respected without being willing to offer the same to others? Why do I feel like I'm so special that I should be taken seriously by a stranger when I've already determined that that stranger has nothing truthful or serious to say? Beyond that, why should I get up in arms over the mistreatment of someone who's never been treated well? My job is to care. And the reason my job is to care is maybe I'm the only person that has actually cared about my patient in the last 10 years of their life. And if I decide to play into my base nature and to respond in kind when they take a swing at me, or when they spit on me, which I really don't tolerate well, or call me names, or insult my wife, or threaten to kill my kids, or whatever else. There's only one of two possibilities. Either one, I allow myself to be the exact same kind of wretched expletive that they may be, or I give it back to them and actually hurt them worse. Neither of those are acceptable options. If I commit to the idea that every single human being that comes under my care is made in the image of God, and for that reason and that reason alone is worthy of dignity and my respect, there are one of two things that will happen on that patient's experience of me. One, they will totally take it for granted and ignore it and ridicule it and hate it. Right. At least I did not add to their very lost situation. Or I make a mark. Maybe it's not a huge life-changing moment. Maybe they are not awakened to the error of their ways. But maybe I can show them that there is such a thing as genuine warmth. Maybe I just get to show them that compassion is real. And it's not a lie. Maybe I can show them there's opportunities to do better. You know, I think of a guy, I was working in a cardiac progressive unit, and I took one contract in a cardiac progressive unit, and I had this guy over a couple days. He was a habitual IV drug abuser. This was the second time with endocarditis. He had already gotten a valve replacement. They were gearing him up for surgery again. And something remarkable happened. He said to me, as I started to probe and talk to him about his life choices, he said to me that, you know, if there is a God, he's not fair. I wasn't dealt a good hand. And, you know, this is what has happened to me. I didn't want this. And I looked at him and I told him, you know, you say this isn't fair, but can you honestly say you've done the best with what you've been given? He sat quiet for a moment. He said no. And I told him, you won't change unless you're willing to take responsibility for your own situation, regardless of the rotten hand you were dealt. Because bottom line, you are here because of you. But it doesn't have to stay this way. There is no such thing as an irredeemable person or an irredeemable situation. And you can find peace. You can find joy, but you have to actually want it. And you have to want it bad enough to take responsibility for what you've done. And he said, you're right. And before I left for the day, I went in to say goodbye, and he grabbed my hand firmly and said, I am so thankful I met you. By the way, this was one of those manipulative people that I got report on. This was one of those drug seekers. Has it occurred to you that maybe people do drugs because they're not all that happy with themselves? Has it occurred to you that people fall into substance abuse of all kinds because they're actually miserable with reality, don't add to that misery. Don't be the reason why that person wants to use again. Don't be the reason why that person sees only dark when they look outside. For goodness sake, be a light. And I will be blunt enough to say that if this idea turns you off, if the idea of being a source of healing turns you off, please